everybody. It's a beautiful morning again. Gosh, just love being out on the water. I'm trying to say that at the beginning of every video. I can't get enough of it. It's so wonderful and beautiful being out here. We've got kind of a strong current pushing the opposite direction as usual, so we'll see how this goes. But so far, so good. Just drifting. Well, if you're with us, God called me out to the water, a couple months ago. And for a while, it was every day, be out there every day. And I bet I've missed, maybe 2 days somewhere in there. God is so good, and what he's revealing in his word to go through Matthew from 24 all the way to the end. So today's a very good day. We're going to pick it up where we left off in Matthew 27, starting verse 27. Then the soldiers of the governor took Jesus into the praetorium and gathered the whole garrison around him. And they stripped him and put a scarlet robe on him. When they had twisted a crown of thorns, they put it on his head and a reed in his right hand. And they bowed a knee before him and mocked him, saying, "Hail, King of the Jews." And they spat on him and took the reed and struck him on the head. Then when they mocked him, they took the robe off him, put his own clothes on him, and led him away to be crucified. Now I find this particular account of what the soldiers did to Jesus before they led him away to be crucified, I'm going to say again, it was very satanic. It was definitely demonically driven. They definitely weren't filled with the Spirit, that's for sure. So they were certainly demonically possessed, because this was unnecessary. There was nothing needed. Nobody said, well, mock him. Put a crown of thorns on his head and a robe and mock him and spit on him and hit him in the head with a reed. Nobody said do that. This is something they chose to do. That's why I'm certain it was satanically driven. This was just it's spur of the moment. Let's do this thing, this weird evil thing. And I find it peculiar because how ironic it is that when he actually returns, how similar he actually looks in that moment. If we go to Revelation 19:11, "And I saw heaven open, and behold, a white horse, and he who sat on was called Faithful and True. In righteousness he judges and makes war. His eyes were like flame of fire, and on his head were many crowns. He had a name written that no one knew except himself. He was clothed in a robe dipped in blood, and his name was called the Word of God." So here he returns with crowns on, just like they tried to do to him then, and a robe, a scarlet robe. This one's a white one dipped in blood. I think the problem that we have with people mocking Jesus is that this world has created Jesus to be this very feminine, fragile, baby hand Jesus, that just real fragile, loving, easily destroyed person. But we have to see him for who he is, because he comes to judge and make war. If those soldiers saw who he really was and what he was coming to do, they'd be horrified. And in that moment that they did what they did, it was a symbol. It was showing, it was Satan trying to prevent what would really happen by showing what will really happen. It's almost hard to wrap my head around, to be quite honest, because what you have here is you have Jesus is revealed in the revelation of Jesus Christ, and it shows who he is and what he will be when he returns, just like he said he would in Matthew 24. But it wasn't written when this took place. It was written after all this took place. So this would have been a very strange scenario to actually put a crown on him and put a scarlet robe on him. When he returns, he'll have many crowns, and he'll have a crown or a robe that looks like it was dipped in blood, because he comes to judge and make war. And that's a piece that a lot of people just simply don't understand, is that he comes to judge and make war. And these Roman soldiers, they would not be doing any of this. They'd be horrified if they knew. Well, they know now. They know now what they did. And I'm sure they were horrified when they realized what they did. Maybe even more than because It's one thing to do what you're told as a soldier. Go crucify this guy, but then to take it beyond that, to this mocking torture. To present him, to mock him for who he is by presenting him for who he is. I'm sure that was an awful situation, having that crown of thorns on and being beaten with a reed. But I bet Jesus is sitting there, you guys have no idea what's coming. You have no idea what's about to happen. To put this crown on my head, this robe on me is very appropriate for what's about to happen. But yet it was mocking. We have to see Jesus for who he is. He's coming to judge and make war. In that moment, those soldiers, what they were doing to him was beyond what was necessary. But at the same time, it was an effort to humiliate by doing what is appropriate. They should have put a crown on his head and a scarlet robe on him. That's what they should have been doing. But not like that. Not like that. And I think a lot of times, we as people, this mocking of Jesus, this idea that he's weak, little fragile Jesus that we see in the movies, it's just pathetic. He comes to judge and make war. Don't be confused on who he is. Don't be all confused on who he is, because the satanic world of Hollywood has changed him into something that he is far from, because he comes to judge and make war, to claim his kingdom here on earth as it is in heaven. And these soldiers just did exactly what most of humanity has done since that moment. Just mock and ridicule. Oh, all hail, King of the Jews. That certainly will end, because every knee will bow. And the soldiers of the governor took Jesus into the praetorium and gathered the whole garrison around him. They stripped him and put a scarlet robe on him. They twisted a crown of thorns and put it on his head and a reed in his right hand. And they bowed a knee before him and mocked him, saying, "Hail, King of the Jews." This is what we do. It's not enough just to ignore him or do what we're told. People got to go that extra mile to really go out against him. Seems like that's how the world is too. I don't know, I could be around a lot of people and I could say I'm an atheist and I don't offend anybody. I'm a Muslim and I don't offend anybody. I'm a Jew, or whatever I say, I don't offend anybody. Once I say I'm a Christian, for some reason, people got to go a little bit further on you. Just like these soldiers did. Go a little bit further. Well, now I'm mad at you for some reason. Or had to be a second ago. Comes to judge and make war. Don't be fooled. Be cautious of the mocking that goes on every day about him. If you like this video, click like and subscribe. If you feel called to support this channel, the Patreon, that link is below. But the most important part of this channel is we take prayer requests, so please don't ever hesitate to send that in. Thank you for watching this episode of God, Family, and Guns. And as always, love God, love your family, love guns.